Remember, it was
I
terrible.
do. Yeah.
Now you probably look up at the corner, make sure it's being recorded.
We're all good this morning now. Yeah.
Okay. From the, oh, I just started recording and I'm talking away at you. Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Good morning again, a second time around. Exactly.
When the fire happened, I reached out to Sterling and his wife because I honest to God didn't know if the house was going to stay, if it was going to go. I just wanted to be prepared. And Sterling predicted the house would be okay, and his prediction was correct. He did see like leaves and stuff, like maybe bush or something. But I realized what he saw was that we got tons of ash leaves, ash bushes, that kind of stuff. The house was filled with ash, but I'll take it.
Yeah. No,
So,
I remember that when Linda asked me, I said, no, the house is going to be fine, but let her know she might lose a few bushes and trees.
Right.
So,
but people did, but I didn't lose them. They landed on mine. So that's what he was seeing. I'm sure you were seeing burnt leaves and stuff like that.
It was. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
a little housekeeping, right?
Yes,
at the top of the show.
So
we actually, so we have a winner. So congratulations, Linda. You got 238,000 subscribers. You're now at 38,200. So actually every 1,000 subscribers, we pick a new winner. So the winner for the half-hour session with myself is Paula Faust. That's Paula Faust. Congratulations. And all she has to do is just contact our offices at info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com, and it will take care of everything. So congratulations.
And I'll be sure to put that in the box.
Yep.
Paula 1 and info at sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Okay. Okay, so I used to do shorthand, my friend. I'm one of those old people. I used to type 100.
Okay.
I used to type 100 minutes, you know, when they tested you. And I used to do shorthand back in the day. But I wanted to tell you something real quick. I wanted to tell you that I had the weirdest dream that just now came to me. I dreamt about Prince.
Okay.
And somebody wasn't fixing something for him. And I was in an office-like environment. And I was trying to get these people to take care of it. And everybody's worried that Prince is going to be upset if this isn't taken care of. And he's in another room, a darkened room, and he's asleep in bed. And at one point I went over and laid my head, and I remember thinking I just ate garlic bread, and laid my head down next to him and said, Prince, we're still working on it. And he kind of woke up, and I could tell he was grouchy that I woke him up. So I exited stage left as fast as I could. But it was so weird. It was as vivid as can be. And he was there, but he wasn't dead. He was sleeping. Okay. So wow. Speaking of death.
Sounds like the real things used to go on in his studio. I think it was at Paisley Park. I remember being back there many years ago in the 80s.
Tell us. We love these stories.
Well, no, not a lot to tell, but it sounds like kind of the way the place used to run, the way you're describing it. So.
Hectic.
Not to tell any tales, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Wow, that's interesting, because I was hectic. I was desperately trying, and people seemed to be real scattered. Okay, so speaking of the other side.
Right.
Have you gotten any messages from Eddie Van Halen? By the way, real quick, have you ever met him?
I did, yeah. During the early 80s, like in 82, when Thriller was being done at Westlake Audio Studios with Quincy Jones, ran into him a couple of times during that time period. Yeah.
And he did that for Quincy for nothing.
He did, yeah. I mean, obviously it's a famous story, but it's all quite true that he played a lot of the parts and rearranged "Beat It" for Michael Jackson.
Right.
And when Michael was out of the room, then Michael came back in, liked what he had done, and that went on to become Record of the Year in 1984. So that track was done in 82 at Westlake Audio Studios in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a lot of his work, yeah.
What I read, I don't know if it's true, but Eddie was not quite sure this album would take off.
No, very true. Everybody was out of town at the time, and Eddie was still in town, and then Quincy called him up as a favor, and the rest is history. A lot of people got involved, but he didn't think it was going to go anywhere, so he did it for free as a favor, and of course, Grammy Record of the Year, so all good.
Awesome. Okay, so did you get any messages from him?
I did. So thanks for bringing that up because I mentioned this to Linda, I actually mentioned it to Daniel, that he came to me a couple of times this week. And, respectfully, it was very quick. But there were a couple of messages you want to get across. And, he certainly wanted to send love to the family. And in addition to that, he was making reference to a couple of things. He very grateful he met his father. His father died in the mid 80s. So he's able to be with his father when he crossed over. That was a great thing. Along with a number of other, what I'll call music superheroes. So as if I were talking about Michael, Michael was one of the people he mentioned that he met when he crossed over, and Jimi Hendrix. So it was kind of a who's who.
Oh,
I didn't hear him mention
wow.
Prince. You mentioned Prince earlier. I didn't hear him
Well,
mention
that's
that.
weird. I had the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but Jimmy and Michael were the two that he mentioned. He also mentioned, he brought this up several times. There's a song that he had written on the 6th album called like Not Enough, which is interesting, but he felt the words and to Not Enough conveyed kind of what he wanted to convey to the world and to his family, which is about, loving people completely and honestly and truthfully. But that Not Enough song, it came to me several times a week, and then he mentioned it. The last thing he told me was that he was making reference to the family, that there were some important discussions and good times that occurred, like at their vacation home or their secondary home. So if there's any family members out there, I think they'll know what he's referencing, but he wanted to reference that and communicate that to the family. So.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, God bless him, because he worked hard trying to get rid of that.
He
Valerie
did.
Bertinelli's book, she said that he had fought the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went back, he'd stopped smoking, he went back to smoking. So that's when she left, because boy, that smoking will get you, that throat cancer doesn't mess.
Yeah. And by the way, he and this is not psychic, but this was actually out in the media, that he actually claimed that he used to use a lot of metal guitar picks, and he held them in his mouth, and he claimed that the tongue cancer he got actually came from the metal guitar picks, was his claim.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, you never know.
That's very, but also it doesn't help that you chain smoke.
No, it doesn't help. But I think he was saying that the cancer that appeared on his tongue was the same place he held the guitar picks in his mouth.
And then it metastasized to his throat.
I would think so. Yeah. That's what it sounds like it did. Yeah.
Wow.
Good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. They could speak fluent. Where is he from? He was from
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. And I saw them on an interview, him and his brother speaking the language fluently.
Yeah.
Okay. Will any more Democrat leaders be targeted by militia groups?
And we saw this in the news for the governor of Michigan, right? So yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, what I pick up, there's actually 2 more Democratic leaders that are being targeted, but I feel the FBI is already on top of this. Good. So we just haven't found out about it yet, but it's all part of a larger plan they uncovered when they got the first group. So.
Yeah, I really feel very strongly that the FBI is on it, because back when I first started reading and seeing these terrorist cells, I could see they were on it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you give a status on a stimulus check and extension of unemployment benefits?
Yeah, a very important topic, and this has come up a couple of times this week. So I have some advanced information on this. Is I still feel that they're going to see a payout in October. So okay. I'm going on record as saying that I feel there's going to be a stimulus check. Maybe it's $1,000. That's quite the $1,200, the first round. And I do see the unemployment benefits being extended, plus like an additional $400. It was $600 the first round. So I kind of see the $1,000, the $400 happening in October. That's what they're telling me. So.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because today on the news, Munchkin and Trump have been talking, and they're saying they're willing to go a little higher than Nancy Pelosi at 2.1 trillion. Yeah. So yeah, because there's plenty of phone calls going into that White House and people upset, and he wants to look like the good guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the meantime, I'll cash my check and not vote for him. By the way, I voted. Did you already vote?
We are actually today, so you can do the drop-in. Yeah.
Okay. Do some people shine? When my daughter was little, she would insist that certain people were shiners. Oh, how cute.
Yeah. Yeah, children are born in this world as with, really an open third eye, so kind of psychic mediumship ability. So children do see individuals that are, let's say, highly enlightened, or if they're psychic mediums themselves, like you, Linda, they would probably see a light around you. So they do see the spiritual energy, the glow. And by the way, some of this can be seen on those special cameras. I was going to call, there are cameras that take pictures of auras, right?
I've
They're
seen
aura
that. Yeah.
cameras. So actually, there are ways even you can take pictures of that. But yeah, it's spiritual energy.
Well,
Yeah.
my uncle, who was a Hollywood producer, used to say, Linda, you were a Gerber baby. You were just like this bright light when you would open your eyes. Of course, I got butt ugly as time went on with the freckles and the big gap, butt ugly. But I always thought I was Hollywood. I was wearing sunglasses at a young age.
A quick footnote story on aura cameras. I went through an event years and years ago, and they took an aura picture of me. And so normally you get colors, and you see all the colors wherever they are. But on the picture, they were holding the picture. They said, "This is kind of interesting." And I said, "Well, what's the deal?" And actually, I'll show you the picture. I'll get you a copy of it. But there's like a very large orange, looks like a baseball, right next to my head. And they said, "That's your angel." And they said,
I
"We hardly."
believe it.
No, they said we hardly ever see that. I'll show you the picture. It's
Yes,
a
I'd love
ball.
to see it.
It's a ball. It's kind of
I've
interesting
never
picture.
had an oral picture done. I should
So
try it. I know they do it up in Sedona.
yeah, good technology.
Awesome. Okay. I imagine if I meet you, because you have that glow to you too. And I wasn't really a Marianne Williamson follower, but I got invited to the where she was speaking somewhere, and I went just out of curiosity. And she actually took my breath away because there was such a shine to her, so to speak.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
had this almost angelic form. So I was it's like I'm sure she could walk into a grocery store and turn heads. So
yeah.
she just
Very
had
nice
that.
lady. Yeah, wonderful lady.
Can we heal ourselves with frequency, tones, and meditation?
Yeah, so that I think that speaks to the fact that if you resonate with the right energy, so you bring universal energy in, you work with your guides, you get your body in the right state, you can actually work to help heal yourself. Absolutely. But you're kind of, you raise your vibrational energy, and then that helps the healing process. So yes, that's
Awesome. Awesome.
definitely yes.
Pelosi has started the 25th Amendment Commission. What will be the outcome?
And part of this came up last week when you and I did the show. We're talking about any bombshells or a Nancy Pelosi bombshell. And
Yeah.
so this is in part what my guides were alluding to, and they're still alluding to, is that Nancy's going to be dropping a bit of a bombshell around this 25th Amendment, the commission, to study it, to make sure we understand the president's health, and there's no games being played with trying to get a last minute pardon in there. So
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. They're saying they're not thinking of Trump. They just want this commission to figure out how things get passed on, but I'm sure they're thinking of Trump. Anyway.
No, nobody ever reveals all their cards in politics and poker.
Right, right. Does Mike Pence have the coronavirus? He's disappeared. He turned his plane around and came home, and he's saying nothing.
Yeah, no, I don't feel directly he has the COVID-19 coronavirus. I don't feel directly he has. I think he might have a case of, I don't know, what they call pink eye or something. It looks like he had something on the news there. His eye had a red spot in it. But I don't believe he has COVID-19. Yeah.
So the reason
Okay. The reason he's
isn't
not,
making, yeah. The reason he's not going anywhere. He's closed down.
yeah,
How long does
I get,
pink eye take to get rid of? Takes about a week. Huh?
don't know, yeah. But I mean, I believe without a doubt he's being ultra careful. I probably should have said that too. He's being ultra careful about guarding against COVID-19 because obviously if Trump went down for the count, he has to be there to back it up. So.
Exactly. Who are the watchers?
The watchers for me, if they're talking about the angel watchers, right? So there are a group of angels that come down to earth that kind of watch over the earth.
Wow.
And actually they look out after very critical situations and help individuals that are helping large numbers of people. So those are the watcher angels I'm aware of. I think there's also a reference to probably it's a TV show or a movie. I'm thinking now there's a reference to some watchers, but I think they're asking about the angel watchers. So they
Right.
are true on Earth, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Will there, this is funny, I have to tell you, but it's true. Will there ever be a pill or something that you can eat instead of actually eating vegetables that has all the same nutrients that we need, like real vegetables?
Somebody there is not a fan of Popeye, right? Popeye's getting spinach. He took it down raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the answer is actually emphatically yes. There will be. It's at least a decade out. It might be a little bit longer, but it's for me. It's actually going to come out of the space program, out of NASA. So it'll be first developed in a way to help astronauts load up on vegetables and veggies when they're in space, and then it'll come down to the population. Yeah.
I like veggies though.
Yeah,
I enjoy my veggies. Currently, 3 Republican senators have tested positive for COVID. Will there be more?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. There'll be half a dozen more, so at least another 6 that'll be coming down with COVID-19. In some respects, thanks to the super spreader event that occurred in that Rose Garden event that we saw with Amy, right? So that super spreader event is really gonna hammer Congress and the White House. Yeah.
And also, he's back at the White House with no mask. So
it's the grand illusion.
He's saying his doctors say this and that, but they're not really sending any proof. Okay. Did 45 and his family come to the debate late so he would not have to test for COVID?
I think that was part of the plan. But interestingly enough, he's a supreme game player. So part of that strategy was to put Biden off his game. Like when you come late, you don't know if you're going to show up. It gets unsettling. So that was the game. That was in part a game move, and I think that it worked to their advantage of saying, "Oh, by the way, take our word for it. We're good." You know what I mean? And we don't take the test.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was for me. It looked to me like it was a game move. What they're telling me.
I don't know if this is in here, but if it's in here, I won't ask you again. So are they going to have any other debates, or that's it? I picked up no more debates.
Yeah, no, a couple of shows ago, I think that question came up, and I always saw one debate, one presidential debate. And I know when they said they were scheduling the second one, I was a little surprised, but now we see what happened.
Yeah.
Then it was go virtual, and then he declined.
Because they can cut him off anytime they want.
Right.
Will Rosenstein, this is very good. Will Rosenstein and Sessions be tried by the UN for crimes against humanity?
No, but they will be used in a number of very long-standing investigations, and I think they're going to be given semi-immunity for their testimony, unfortunately. So they won't get directly indicted.
Okay. But they'll be hated. They'll be hated people,
Absolutely, yeah.
Sterling stated that 45 does not have full-blown COVID, that he contacted a mild form of it last March. If so, what illness does 45 have?
He had a mild form of COVID in March, and so that's still in his system. But for me, he's got bronchial problems and some cardiac problems he's wrestling with, so it's all being aggravated.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
In the future, will humans use mind reading as a form of communication?
Yes, absolutely, and that's already. So there are people that can multitask right now and already use, that kind of communication skill when they're doing normal conversation. So it'll become much more prevalent as time goes on. I think that's kind of the nature of the question. Will it become more prevalent? It will. Yeah.
How do miracles happen? That's an interesting question.
Miracles, for what I'm getting from the guides, miracles are like a cross section. It's a divine intersection of 3 different things. So it's really it's guidance and support from your angels, from the universe. And then the third element is what I call intention. So the intention of the individual, or for example, like let's say a group of people, a prayer group. So it's that intention, like the prayer group, plus the angels, plus the universal, divine intervention, all coming together to create the miracle. Those three
Wow.
elements.
Wow.
Yeah.
Will our dwellings be, this is a good one too. God, they got some good questions. Honest to
They're getting
God.
better and better. It's almost
Oh my
PhD.
God, I love these questions. Will
Yeah.
our dwellings be constructed to withstand fire, flood, and hurricanes in the future?
Yeah, they will, but well, unfortunately, that's not a short-term issue that can be resolved because there's too many dwellings already built, right? So you can't tear everything down. So what I do pick up is something like 2030, 2032, is that there'll be very strict building standards. They'll take into account fire, flood, earthquake in a much, much greater capacity.
Depending on where you live, right?
Yeah, due to all the earth changes, right? So all the earth changes will impact all the building codes. Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story, and you probably know this story. Remember the horrible fires in Laguna Beach that took that whole hill out, all those multi-million-dollar homes? Well, there was one man that built this house that was so ugly they complained about it, but he built it to withstand fires. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
It looked like it was weird looking, I will say that. And they complained and they were trying to, challenge him statewide and all this because it didn't match their beautiful setting. Guess what house stayed up? His house was the only house that survived on that hill.
Yeah.
Are we creators of our own worlds, or were we dropped into the stimulation called life by external forces?
It's a good questions. So that speaks to everybody's life path. So before you come down here, you really do you negotiate a life path, the lessons you want to learn, who your soulmates are. You kind of you lay a lot of that out. So you do have some control over how that all gets laid out and whether you decide to come back. That's the key. So you do have you can absolutely say I'm not going back anymore, and that's your decision. Every time you come back, you go through the school of life on Earth and you evolve. So, awesome. Yeah.
Okay. In China, there have been cases of bubonic plague. Will it spread to America?
Yeah, there have been some recent cases of bubonic plague. There will be some leakage to America. Not to get anybody,
just when I was reading it, I felt my guy said yes. No, there will be.
Yeah, there will be because China doesn't have very good controls over all that, nor does the U.S. The good news is, though, that modern medicine is going to be very, very good at stopping that from being a full-blown pandemic. Right. So there are modern medications right now, especially in the U.S., that can stop that. So okay. Yeah, by the way, I think the last bubonic plague was like, I don't know, in the 13 or 1400s. So whoa. A long time ago, right? Long time ago.
Okay, will scientific and medical advances ever validate human intuitive abilities? And will these potential advancements ever help strengthen our psychic abilities?
That they will. We spoke a little bit about, kind of advanced testing hardware coming up. So in the future, we will have even advanced testing hardware where you can empirically see, or test intuition or even psychic ability. So that's coming. And so it'll be much more validated by science and become much more mainstream. Yeah.
When we die, do we have to go back into the karma wheel cycle, or can we choose to not come back to Earth?
It's almost a corollary to that prior question we just answered.
Yeah.
You have choice. You absolutely have choice of whether you come back or not. Most people decide to come back though because they want to evolve. They want to come down here.
And we don't think as humans over there. We look at the big picture.
Exactly. You kind of drop all the a lot of the fear anyway. So a lot of people's concern is all based in fear. When you get in that love environment, it's all about then how you elevate yourself. So you look at it differently.
And in the human process, you can relieve karma so much faster.
Right.
Okay. Is there a secret space program?
Yeah, there is, and again, I always harken back to some prior shows you and I did. There are some programs that are being worked on with the help of our alien friends. So they have to do with advances in technology, propulsion technology, anti-gravity technology, and we actually do have, and I'll quote somebody here in a second, but I know we've cooperated bases in Mars. So the U.S. has actually been to Mars already, and there are some bases. And I'll
Whoa.
tell you, I'm gonna do a shout out here to somebody I think that is one of the best in the field at following all this research. It's Linda Moulton Howe. If you
Oh,
ever,
yes, yes. I
uh,
watched her speeches. She's
right.
really
So
smart.
a shout out to Linda. She does a wonderful job at tracking and interviewing a lot of people who've had close encounters. So yeah,
And she has too.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask you something? Probably Linda
Sure.
would know. That paranormal on camera in Washington, D.C., some
Mhm.
people, more than one person, caught this triangular, looked like a pyramid, huge, up over Washington. And it was just this big pyramid that was slowly turning, and everybody was overwhelmed, and then it just disappeared. So that was a ship, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There are a lot of
It
ships
was
that look like that.
fascinating. It was huge. I'll send you the copy.
Yeah. It's actually, I'll make a quick point. It's funny how many close encounters there have been on this earth and how many people have seen ships and even qualifying, government officials that have seen them and they've been able to keep it under wraps for a long time.
For a
But
long time. There's
yeah,
some top brass that have been at places that had nuclear and
right,
talked about the scariest time of their life when a ship came over it and actually shut it down and then turned it on again. They thought we were going to go into full blown
right,
devastation, and then it just disappeared. But they
yeah,
can handle it from their end.
exactly.
Is Anonymous still working to keep us safe?
What I get on Anonymous is, that's a very computer-based, hacking organization that affects things worldwide. So they do a lot of things that are good and a lot of things maybe that are questionable. So I guess it depends on what side you're on, so to speak. But I think their intent is to try to do good. But I know they've had some. I guess the question was, are they still trying to help us? And I think the question is, it depends in terms of who they're hacking.
Will the Supreme Court do away with mail in ballots?
No, that's actually an easy one. No.
No. Will the GOP trigger some shenanigans to overturn the election results if it is unfavorable to them by having some type of recount delay, causing protestings, etc.?
Yeah, and this come up on prior shows, but I mean, I don't see Congress as a whole doing that. I mean, what I see is that Trump and some of his closest allies challenging the election. I do see that. Yeah. So they'll be recounted. I saw at one point it might take a whole several weeks to get the final result. So
Yeah,
a
but
lot of challenge.
what I've been hitting energetically is that Biden is going to win so bad. I mean, he's going to win so good
Right.
that I see just recently, I asked my guys and I'll ask them again right before the thing, but I see Texas and Florida going to Biden. But it'll be so close, that's where they're going to fight him.
Correct. Yeah.
But even if they fight him and turn it into Trump's favor, Trump still loses.
Yeah, and I got the number I keep getting was a minimum 15 percentage point boost for Biden over Trump. So at least 15% of the popular vote above where Trump ends up. So.
Well, my latest was I posted it. I got Biden at 386 and Trump at 149. Electoral votes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very possible.
We'll see. But when I did the 2018, I had a 86 or 89% correct. So I'm going to do the senators next. I'm going to sit down. I'm not going to do Congress because we got Congress.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you see anything coming up for next week?
Well, a continuation of a number of parallel, tasks going on. Nancy Pelosi is absolutely going to keep moving forward on this 25th Amendment Committee. I see still lots of consternation around Trump's COVID diagnosis, and is he safe? Is he not? Which doctors are under NDA? Who's telling the truth? I see a lot of that. And I do see a lot of still consternation around Amy, the Supreme Court Justice nominee. And the fourth element I see is more GOP coming out kind of against Trump and what's going on, how things are being handled. So I almost like four different streams,
Right.
parallel streams of things going on. Yeah.
Right. I'm feeling more towards not this next week, but the week after, big stuff. But the Amy thing, what's interesting, because I always ask, and it always shows up for her, is that I feel there's going to be what I saw in McConnell's face was that look when McCain did the thumbs down.
Right.
I think some people will surprisingly back off because they're losing so big, and you know, the Supreme Court wants to get rid of affordable care. They want to hurt Social Security, and so people are going to in the red states are going to be complaining. That's my take.
I would agree with that.
Okay, do you have any information from your guides you want to share? I always like their little tidbits they like to give us.
Yeah, and they always like giving them.
Right.
So this came up this week, which almost goes full circle on our show. But the message they came up with this week, they said, remember that life is fragile and life goes quickly. And kind of remember to show the love to all those around you and those even you don't know. But the key message is life is very fragile, you know, value it and really help those around you. It almost goes full circle with, we talked about Eddie at the very beginning of the show, and life goes quickly. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you actually see your guides?
I do.
I can't see my guides. I know there's people say, Linda, who are my guides? Do you see them? And I can never see guides. I can only hear them.
Yeah. No, one of these days we'll do an offline thing and I'll describe the whole process. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Maybe you could do a class or something online to help people figure out how to do that.
Maybe so. Happy to help. Everybody can develop the ability, you know, because you're kind of born with it and then you kind of grow out of it. So you have to reactivate.
So when people say to me, Linda, who are my guides? I'll tell them, go to Sterling.
Exactly.
Thank you, my friend. This has been wonderful. Listen, we only got 3 more Sundays, I think, till our November 3rd.
Yeah, let's it's all we already know how it's going to go. So
let's make it rock, my friend.
Yeah, it's all going to be great.
Oh,
all right.
I love it. Okay, you guys, take care. See you next
time. We'll see you.
Yeah. That was great.
I think you're still recording.
Oh.